Everybody set?
How about it?
All right, thanks for being here. Great to be finally back in full pads. As you can see, the guys I think are really good shape and working really hard to improve and get better. So, how about any questions I can answer?
How would you characterize the first week here? What reasons for optimism do you have?
Yeah, a lot. I think number one, we've got more experience maybe at this time than we did last year, more competitive depth than we had at this time last year, and starting to see every day a little bit more consistency, out of each position. So, we got 23 days until the opener. So we got a lot of work to do, but the guys are putting it in.
What other unique challenges does that present? I mean, obviously the opener's coming fast, but you have to go into Dublin on top of that. So what kind of challenges does that present?
Ton of challenges for the operations staff, right? Logistics, we got to ship a ton of stuff. I mean, the list goes on and on with that. But from a standpoint of our team, it'll be just a little longer flight. We've played out in California, so this will be just a little bit longer. But outside of that, everything will be pretty much standard issue. We'll be pretty much done with our game plan before we get on the plane. So as far as execution on the field.
Have any of the players ever been to Dublin or Ireland before?
Yeah, I don't. What I did is I had them raise their hand who's never left the country, and it was a lot of hands. So I didn't maybe get that specific, so I can't give you a number, but. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, right? To go play internationally, to be the first college game of the year on is something that I think our guys will always remember, and they'll especially remember it if we go play well and win, and that's the goal.
In spring, you kind of referenced how you saw at that point a 50-50 quarterback job between Brent Sullivan and Ryan Orlinski. Obviously, it's very early in camp, but what have you seen out of both those guys right now, just as you 23 days away?
Yeah, I mean, I think, just collectively in that whole room, I think I've seen better execution of the offense, better understanding of what we want to do and how we want to do things, some really solid leadership starting to develop. And then, at the end of the day, taking care of the ball. I mean, that's what they need to do and do it in a consistent fashion. And for the most part, they've done that so far in camp.
Do you see a difference?
Go ahead.
Do you see a difference in Ryan from a year ago when he was kind of new here?
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this time last year, he, had a handful of spring practices, moving, big transition. Yeah, he's in a totally different place. Same thing with Sully. I've been really impressed with his growth throughout his time here in our program. Just the whole room, I think, is in a really good spot. I think they're really encouraging each other. They're doing everything they can to be there for each other, and it's been fun to watch the progress so far through camp.
What are the similarities and differences skill set wise?
Well, I think a lot of similarities, right? I think arm talent, I think both, again, system knowledge, being in the system multiple years helps a lot. Ryan's probably got a little bit more experience, obviously, playing in games, so that's maybe a little bit of a difference. But both guys, I think, are doing a really good job. And I see the rest of the group, kind of gaining confidence when both guys are out there. That to me is, when the quarterback's out there, the rest of the guys around him have confidence in him being able to move the ball and score. And so it seems like so far so good with both guys.
I think there's been like a number of years in which you've kind of taken it right up to kick off in terms of who you're announcing in December. Last year, obviously, you announced a couple weeks ahead of time. Do you feel one way or another is more likely this time?
Probably a little bit too early to tell, but I think both guys. That's because of the way both guys are playing. So, encouraged by that, to say the least. But we'll take it kind of day by day, see where we're at, and but both guys are doing a good job. There's no doubt.
It's early, but where do you really believe this team is going to be better, and where do you think your strengths are going to lie?
Where are we going to be better? I think everywhere. I think we got more competitive depth at every position. I thought the guys had an outstanding offseason. We were in the building the whole offseason for the first time in multiple years. And to see the growth and the strength and the development that our guys did with our strength staff was outstanding. Defensively, second year in the system, I just see, instead of teaching it for the first time, maybe a nuance, it's now hearing it maybe for the fourth, fifth, sixth time. So just, much better execution for what we want to do and how we want to do things.
Cam Mitchell looked incredible out there. Obviously, I think just having a leader in the defensive backfield has been a key part of the defense. Yeah. What do you think he's going to provide this year beyond his play on the field?
Yeah, well, I think that whole group is really talented. I think I've been pretty outspoken about that. He's just a veteran. He's been out there. He's been in battles. He's had some huge plays. He's had some tough plays. I think that gives a guy a lot of confidence. You heard me say a year ago, last year for, all the DBs kind of remind me a little bit of what I experienced as a player with Rodney and Chris Martin. Going through a little bit of little bit of a battle on the field, and then you gain experience, you gain confidence, and then as you move forward in your career, my expectations is those guys continue to take another step, and that's really what I expect to see from Cam. Leadership-wise, he's been outstanding. He's just been great. He's got a lot of confidence. He's great with his teammates, great with the defense, great with the team. It's been very impressive.
How about Cam quarterback and what that's meant?
Yeah, I mean, I love that room, right? To add Cam back to a 1,000-yard rusher with Evan, and AC and Trey, those four guys, I love the depth in the room. We're going to need them all. I can list on then the other 5 guys in the room, too, that are really competing. And, my hope that group can stay healthy, knock on wood, and then, we can get some more production out of that group in the kick game, too. I mean, the last few years we've had some injuries at that position. It's really limited our ability to play. I think one of our more talented, group of athletes, running backs in the kick game. So it'll be nice to see. But it's great to see Cam back out. Number one for him. Again, I'm somebody that went through a catastrophic injury myself. It's tough to see those things happen for anybody, and the first thing that happens for me is my heart breaks, and then, once they get through whatever they have to do initially, it's all about trying to help them get back mentally and physically, and he's been awesome. So it's been fun to watch.
How is working Cam and Evan together in the offense? How's that going? What does that add to the team? Having two proven Big Ten running backs.
Yeah, I mean it helps a lot, to have depth there. I mean that's why keep going back to that competitive depth. So just. Trying to keep guys fresh, trying to keep guys healthy, and then, letting them go showcase their skills. So it's been fun to watch those guys. But like I said, AC and Trey will have roles too. So it's a deep group right now, and hopefully we can keep them healthy.
Do you love opening up against this opponent after what happened last year?
Not really. I'd much rather play a team that isn't as hungry as Nebraska is and focused. You could sense that at Media Day, and Scott does a great job, and they've got a lot of changes that we've had to work on to get ready for their offense. A lot of wholesale changes there with their coaches, but personnel, they're really well. We didn't play very well. They played great a year ago in Lincoln, and we didn't play very well, and that's a recipe for a disaster, and that's what happened. So we've just got to keep worrying about ourselves and getting better and improving, and take it with us when we get on the plane.
How often do you have to remind them of that, or do you have to remind your team what happened last year?
Yeah, no, I mean, these guys have a lot of pride, and not a whole lot needs to be said about that.
Ray Nairo is your ultimate Wildcat, the number one everywhere. What can you just kind of say about him and what he provides to this program that people might not know?
Well, it starts, he came here as a walk-on, right? And he earns a role primarily in the special teams units. You could argue he's one of the better special teams players, if not the best special teams player in the Big Ten. And, we've been trying to find a role for him. It was offense, defense, back to offense, and he's just really been relentless in that aspect of trying to find a role to help the team. But he has not, it hasn't diminished one aspect of what he does for the team behind the scenes. His leadership, his work ethic, again, how hard he plays and the way he executes in the kick game, I think is really inspirational to the guys around him. Again, that number one jersey is recommended by the Leadership Council and then voted on by that. So that's a player let honor, and to see Ray represent us, something I think Ray takes really to heart, and he does a great job, being that type of leader and handling that expectation.
Speaking of great heart, the Kinnickis young man has really shown heart, hasn't he, being a develop a football player?
Well, Albert's a hell of a football player. We saw that last year. He came to our camp and was outstanding, and that's a type of young man that he is. He's a student that he is. It's the type of demeanor that he has, and then he plays football fearless, and ton of fun to watch. And will he find a role this year? We'll see. But his future in this program is incredibly bright. Anything else?
Thank you.
Great to see everybody. Happy football season, all right? Go Cats. Good to see everybody. Thanks.
Questions for Peter Skoronski?
How do you handle all the expectations surrounding the heading into this year? Obviously, it's kind of one of, if not the top tackle going into the year. So with all that chatter going around, how do you kind of keep your head down?
Just not really worried about the outside noise. Just trying to focus day in and day out here. We've got a lot to do, a lot to accomplish, and I think I'm just trying to improve as a player every day as we practice here in camp, and just focusing on that. Not really worried what anyone else is saying right now.
Do you feel any pressure with the accolades preseason, sort of a target on your back?
I wouldn't say that. I think my expectation is still to do what the Northwestern left tackle still has to do. I know if I get that done, I'll be just fine. So I'm really just concerned about getting that job done for this team.
How encouraged are you about the way the offensive line is coming together? How positive are you that it's going to be one of the strengths of this team after last year?
Super positive. We've really been getting after it in camp this year, and we've got a lot of great guys who've been really physical and competing really hard. And just been really happy with our energy and our physicality so far, and really like what we're going to be able to do up front.
Have you been to Dublin before?
I have not, no.
How do you manage the expectations? Obviously, you guys aren't you're there to win a football game, but you get a chance to experience it all.
Yeah, it's going to take some maturity. You know, it's going to be obviously a once-in-a-lifetime experience for all of us. So want to enjoy that, but also focus on the game. We're going there to win the game. So.
Do you like the idea of opening it up against Nebraska after what happened?
Yeah. I mean, they got after us last year. There's no doubt about that. So I feel like that's a great way to start off the season, get back, and give them a real physical game and start with a win.
You got a very deep running back room this year, and obviously a lot of their play just depends on the offensive line as a unit. As kind of a leader of that unit, or at least seen from the outside as one of the leaders of that unit, how do you kind of take a different strategy towards run blocking when you have so many different guys with different skill sets? Are you kind of customizing your play towards that?
I wouldn't say there's anything schematically we're doing differently, but I think just the mentality of that we owe it to that room to execute our asses off in the run game and be as physical as possible and as disciplined as possible, because we know what we have there and we know what those guys can do. So we feel like up front that we owe it to them to do our best on the line of scrimmage.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last year when you're here, besides the facial hair.
No, yeah, it kind of gets the guys going when you got a little facial hair. I actually had this shaved and there was just a mustache, so it definitely got them going. But I think the difference from last year to this year is this is the first year I've had 2 years of an offense under my belt. Freshman year at South Carolina, Brian McClendon was my OC. Sophomore year, Mike Bobo was my OC. Junior year, got Coach Bajakian. Now I've got him again. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is that confidence in myself, confidence in learning the playbook, and then of course the confidence with the guys around me. I think they can see that I've learned the playbook inside and out, that I'm giving everything I've got every single day, especially in this off season. So it's definitely been a kind of a 360 for me from last year to this year, and I'm super excited about moving forward. And I mean, 23 days until the opener, so I mean, I couldn't be more excited, more hyped for our guys and ourselves.
What have you worked on? Obviously, you got your confidence in the playbook, but is there anything else that you've been working on special?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, this off season, I changed my body a whole lot. I started eating different. I realized, you know, you got to go all in, and I talked to Coach Spanos about it. And if you're not all in, then why are you doing this at all? So obviously, I look in the mirror, you know, every day this off season. I could see my body, and I could see it changing every single day. After 60s that we do our big conditioning, I mean, I'm barely panting. And last year I was breathing really hard, bent over, all that stuff. So I think that's the biggest thing for me this offseason is just changing my body, being able to become a runner, more of a dual threat type of quarterback where I can scoot if I need to, but I could also throw it 50 yards down the field when I have to too.
Specifically, did you change in your diet?
Literally just eating everything at Nona Joe's. I talked to Peter Ritz, who's our amazing nutritionist, going from carbs to protein, loading the plate the right way. Just stop eating the bad stuff, start eating the good, or less bad stuff, more good. And that's just who I've been growing up. I mean, my brothers were like that. We had good metabolisms, but at some point you got to change, and I'm so glad I did because I feel better than I ever did. Happy birthday, Coach Jake.
Thank you. Looking forward to Dublin.
Yeah. Am I looking forward to Dublin? Yeah, crazy story actually about that. 10 years ago to this year, my brothers Tyler and Kelly played in the Gift, which is the Global International Football Tournament back then. And Notre Dame High School, Sherman Oaks, played either it was Hamilton or Chandler, Arizona. And Kelly was the quarterback, Tyler was his backup. And they won the game when Tyler recovered an onside kick. He was on the hands team as the backup quarterback. So they won that game. I was actually in a wheelchair at the time because I broke both my knees back then. And then I was fortunate enough to see Notre Dame and Navy play in the stadium that we're going to be playing in. So, I mean, I couldn't be more excited, couldn't be more hyped to go out there and get another dub for the Cats and for our family.
How do you balance the excitement of going over there with just you got to win the football game?
Yeah, I think it comes with experience. I mean, it's crazy to say that this is going into my 4th year of college football. I mean, I kind of makes it a little emotional. But I mean, this is my 4th year of college football, and I think when it comes down to it, it's business. It's a business trip, and the guys know that. We know what happened last year. We're going in with the same mindset to go 1-0, 1-0 every rep, 1-0 each game. That's the mindset we got, and that's how we handle it.
We're in a different number this year.
Yeah.
Obviously a special number for you. What kind of went into that decision to wear Tyler's number this year?
Yeah, I think last year talking with JJ, you know, like that number had special significance to him, and you know, you got to earn your keep. And I hadn't earned my keep here, and he's been here for a minute, so of course I'm going to give him, or he's going to keep number 3. And I was totally fine with it because 1 + 2 = 3 anyways, so technically I'm still wearing a version of 3. But definitely this year, of course, you know, like I said, going into my 4th year, it's just something that it just gives me that extra motivation, that extra push to keep going, of course. And when, you know, I feel like when I'm wearing 3, I'm wearing Tyler on my jersey with me. Kind of gives it a little bit of extra pace on the ball, maybe. But it just gives me that extra motivation to keep going and to never quit. Good. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right. Questions for Cam Mitchell?
How's practice going the first week? How do you like anything on the defense side?
I like the way the defense is gelling together right now. The energy's up. We're just trying to maintain that and keep it and carry it into Ireland when we play Nebraska.
I feel like I've asked this to like a different person every single year, but obviously it's a very storied defensive backs room, right? And you kind of become a leader in that. How have you kind of taken after guys in the past, like Greg, like JR, other people like that? And how do you kind of apply those lessons you learned from them as leaders towards being a leader of that?
Yeah, Greg and JR and even Brandon and the guys before him, Trey Williams, Montre Hardis, all those guys just led by example. And every year I've picked up thing by thing from them and just applied it to my game, whether it be on the field, in recovery, in the film room, and just applying it and then just giving it off to the younger guys underneath me too.
Pretty exhilarating to be back out here. Excited when you're just stepping on the field, right?
Yes, sir. I'm excited, man. We got, 23 days? Yeah, I'm excited.
Have you ever been to Dublin before?
I've never been to Europe, Dublin, nowhere, no.
So
I'm excited.
What do you think the experience is going to be like? And how do you balance, obviously, you're going up there to win a football game, but enjoying yourself as well?
Yeah, you know, I'm looking forward to the experience, and I've heard a lot of things about the food and the weather that are going to be interesting, but, you know, it's a business trip. You know, we're going to get some revenge against Nebraska. You know, we're there for business, so I'm looking forward to it.
How do you prep for a quarterback that hasn't played? Like obviously Adrian Martinez was at Nebraska forever, and now he got the opportunity, and he hasn't been in school before. Do you watch his film from like another school, or do you pay more attention to what Scott Frost tends to do schematically?
You know, they have a new offensive coordinator, and then, you know, he come from a different school. You know, you watch the film from the other school, you watch the the new offensive coordinator from whatever school he came from. It's all about your preparation, film study, film study, film study.
How long did it take you to get the sour taste out of your mouth for what happened last season, particularly on the defense, when obviously defense has been a signature here at Northwestern? Were you able to turn the page right away, or to look ahead towards this year, or did you have to let that sit, be angry about last season?
I wouldn't say you let it be angry, because, you know, you always want to move forward, but, you know, you can't ignore it. I mean, it happens. So you take it, you learn from it, but you got to move on. You got to have a short-term memory. It's the only way to move forward.
Good?
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.